Hey, so today I want to talk about the third and last part of Fear Street series by Netflix. It is also directed by Lee Jainek, and she has directed, I guess, all the other two films too. So it has been going on like 3 straight weeks. They released it like every Friday, and now we're here. Right off the bat, I want to say something because when this first film was announced, they were kind of touting it as like a reverse trilogy because the first one is set in 1994, then 78, and then 1666. So then I was thinking like, how are they gonna actually connect this film? Are they gonna do it like a sort of like a cause effect before cause thing? Like we're gonna see the evil or the whole thing being demolished in the first film, and then they're just going to build up and how this happened. But sadly to say that it's not like that. I really would have liked it to happen like that, but it's not like that. This is not actually a prequel trilogy either. It's actually a sequel trilogy and very much in line with what we expect from Hollywood. So this just actually goes kind of in chronological order. And this might be like a spoiler. A lot of people might see it as spoiler, so but that's why I'm giving it a spoiler warning. But I don't think it's a spoiler because I would have personally liked to know about this before I see this film. This part 3, which is set in 1666, is actually a 2-hour film, and which is also almost always a little troubling for horror films to be 2 hours because not a lot of them can actually justify it. But this film, this 2 hour is actually split in two parts. The first one is actually set in 1666, and the second part is actually called 1994 Part 2. So when the 1994 happens, it's actually that one night, first in the second film, that they kind of goes to Ziggy Berman and then gets the whole backstory, and that's where the part 2, 1978 is set. And now in 1666 it's also a flashback in like some supernatural shenanigans. Dean actually learns about it, the main character actually learns about the backstory of Seraphia, and so there we are. And in the first film, that whole backdrop happens, and in the second part, they spend the whole film actually kind of defeating the evil. So it's basically from the actual movie chronology, it's actually a one night story. Just things happen and we get like immense flashbacks, and those flashbacks are this other film. Now I like the first two of film in this series a lot because they are tongue-in-cheek but also kind of homage and does their own thing in their own style, which I liked. And in 1666, I've been skeptical from the beginning because this witch trial time setting is always tough because not a lot of people can do something different about it, and there's almost always one narrative that gets actually kind of told in Hollywood. So there's not a lot of diversity or not a lot of scope of trying to tell interesting stories, and Fear Street doesn't get this either. But actually, it's the part 2 that kind of helps because they are now trying to wrap up the whole film. So in that way, this film kind of sums everything up nicely. If you like the first two films, there's no reason to stop this. You can definitely watch it and have a good time. But if you were to like pick and choose a film, I would say that the first one is the safest to see, is the best one for me at least. I also like the second one too. It's a toss up between 1 and 2, but 3 is definitely the kind of the inferior one because the gimmick, it really wears off. The 1666 gimmick is not that much prevalent because there's not a lot of tropes for 1666 films. Not even actually kind of, maybe there are tropes but not good tropes. And the second part is actually the part 2 of the first film, so it's kind of muddled together. But I would say that yeah, they did what they could, as good they could. There's not a lot of breakthrough or not something that so like miraculously. It's sort of as a it part 2 kind of ending, if that makes sense. But other than that, I would say yeah, it's a solid film. You can definitely watch it if you have seen the other film. And I don't know if you would like it. Maybe you can tell me in the comments that you like it or not. But for me, it's definitely a okay film. That's why I give this film a 3 out of 5. And I think this whole series is worth your time if you enjoy this kind of films. Otherwise, you should not be watching any of this, and this is like an easy recommendation. And the last thing I want to say is that there's a sort of a tag in the mid-credit scene that they're planning to make more of this film. So if they are planning on making more of this film, I would like to be set in other decades. Like I want to see like a 40s, 50s zombie film and like a 60s hardcore splatter film. Those are like my big choices. Maybe even they can do like a early 1920s 21 film of like a sort of Universal monsters thing in that vein, like Dracula Frankenstein. These are just my ideas. I don't know what they're gonna do, but yeah, I think I'm interested, and I think I might be interested in more of their offering from this particular series. Good job, Netflix.